All right, Matty, welcome back to the Ask Matty Show. Matty, how you feeling?
I'm doing excellent. New week. Excited to talk about crypto.
I'm also excited to talk about crypto, Matty. We got a lot to talk about today. Casper again, of course, but we're comparing it with another altcoin, XRP, and a new crypto someone's asking about that Matty may or may not chart. But before we get into that, team, become a Crypto Charge member. Click the link in the pinned comment below. That's where you're going to get all the tools, daily info, everything that has to do with crypto. You can find us there on the daily. Below that, shop at cryptocharge.com, get some swag. But team, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It greatly helps us grow. But in today's show, we're going to get into all of it, all your questions, hot takes, all those goodies. Matty, are you ready?
Let's do this thing, baby.
Natty513 says, great show as always. I have a question. Why do you guys just focus on a few projects, Casper, XRP, when there's other projects with better ROI, at least for short term? Why not focus on small to mid cap with fundamentals?
So first of all, Casper is a small to mid cap with strong fundamentals, right off the bat there. So I think first and foremost, you know, like we try to classify by cap, you know, kind of like how we would classify them in the stock market. That may change over time as crypto becomes more developed and more money comes in the space, and those figures may change of what we consider a micro, small, mid, and large cap. You know, and I've reiterated my strategy many times about why I don't, you know, focus on too many assets. One of the main reasons is if you're going to genuinely say you're investing, right, and not trading, because that's a little bit different, right? Investing means, you know, you're accumulating a position that you're going to sell, and you know, somewhere in, let's say 6 months up to 4 years, right? That the window could be very big. It could even be bigger than that. But let's just talk about, you know, if we're cycle trading, right? So you're more of like on the investing side of things. You know, we don't want to spread ourselves so thin that we're not able to keep up with the news, keep up with new partnerships, keep up with all of the important advancements with that project, right? It's just not possible. A lot of degens out there will collect a whole bunch of microcaps, and for some people it works well, right? You get this, you know, this blanket play where you buy 50 microcaps, and let's say 6 of them do really, really well, and it covers the losses that you took on the other microcaps that just never came back and just sat flat and went to zero, right? And to me, that's more like gambling, right? That's to me kind of like spreading the chips on the roulette table, and like, yeah, some of these numbers are going to pop up, but more of those, you know, chips are going to get taken and given to the house as a donation, right? So that's one of the main reasons why I don't spread myself too thin, and I do definitely chase bigger ROI, right? One of the main reasons I don't hold any Bitcoin or any Ethereum is because of that ROI. I know that it's good tech. I know it's here to stay. I know they will make new all-time highs. I do focus on bigger ROI. For example, Zcash and Casper are coins that I'm expecting to do somewhere in the rounds of a 100x if everything goes really, really well from current market prices. We're recording, by the way, August 28. You know, Zcash is under $30 right now. Casper is under 4 cents right now. So, you know, I definitely am sticking with the strategy you're talking about here. I just don't think you've maybe evaluated what we're actually doing here and why we're sticking with the assets we're sticking with.
I think your top 10 in your portfolio is all like small to mid cap coins, right, Matty? So like,
yeah, definitely. And there's other coins there I don't talk about as much, guys, like Energy Web Token is one of those smaller cap coins in there that I haven't really added to, but it still represents, you know, right about 1% of my portfolio. You know, I definitely don't ignore smaller opportunities. In fact, I search for them, but there is a middle ground between the micro cap that your favorite influencer is throwing to you because he's got a big bag of it and he's hoping for extra liquidity, and then the mega caps that everybody's talking about where you're not going to see those returns like, you know, you'll see with other altcoins. So I try to find that middle ground of like, all right, it's still young enough and new enough that there's potential to get in early, but it's not so small with a team that is, you know, underfunded that this project's not going to grow at the pace that I think it needs to grow at. So I think there needs to be a nice blend between strong fundamentals, something that sets it apart that's proprietary compared to other assets within the vertical it's competing with. And of course, we want to make sure that there's enough money coming into this market and that we're not just buying a microcap because we think it could do a 1000x or a 500x or whatever you think would be a bigger return. But guys, let's not be greedy here. I know that some of you guys, crypto is your first exposure to investing. This is life-changing money. Guys, a 5 or a 10x is life-changing money. You have to really put it in perspective, right? Because if you're thinking to yourself right now, I only have $1,000 to invest, you know, if I were to tell you, hey, in, you know, a year and a half from now, that $1,000 be $5,000 to $10,000, and right now to you, $1,000 is a lot of money, that should be life-changing money. Not everything needs to be an overnight millionaire for it to be life-changing money. It is stepping stones to make yourself wealthier 1 year at a time.
Great stuff, Matty. I have to bring this up just because I forgot to grab a question, but you just mentioned it right now, Zcash and Casper. So I have to ask. I'll ask on behalf. You won't be getting a credit, anonymous person. But here's the question here to sum it up. What are you choosing? Like, if you had to, would you choose to invest in Zcash right now or Casper?
Yeah, gun to the head, it's going to be Casper, and it's not just because of the fundamentals. It's because of the staking. There's a monetary incentive for me to stick with Casper, right? I'm going to be earning that right now 10.5% APY as of today's date, August 28, 2023. We're earning over 10%. That pool does fluctuate based on TVL, but I'm going to be making a little bit more money technically. If everything goes to plan, right, we get roughly 100x Zcash to Casper. I'm going to have 10% more Casper to sell at the end of it. Casper's the better investment.
ABC 28155 says, who will buy my XRP when it reaches an all-time high? That's my question. How will I even cash out if no one wants to buy it at its height? Also, I was told that the income tax on crypto is pretty high, like 40%.
Wow. God bless your friends who are just spreading misinformation on you. So first of all, the first question is a really good question, and it's a reasonable question, right? Like, let's say XRP reaches, $21 or $13 or, whatever our upper bounds of expectations are. Who buys that? When you guys are buying and selling crypto, I want you guys to be aware that it's not a retail consumer on the other side of this transaction waiting to say, I'll buy 1,000 XRP at this price, right? It's not necessarily retail consumers doing that. What you have are AMMs, or automated market makers. You guys I referenced this in the last episode. David Schwartz goes into great detail about how automated market makers work. And they're found in the foreign exchange markets, found in the stock markets, found in the oil markets. Every market has AMMs, and they're required to create liquidity, because think about the market we would have if it was only you and I buying and selling, and the price differences would be very, very vast, right? So, I have a bar of gold and I say, $1,200 an ounce, and the next guy says, well, I won't buy it for $1,200, but I'll buy it for $800. But then there aren't any buyers, right? We have a very illiquid market, and there's not a lot of change in your hands because the bid and the ask is too wide. So when market makers come in, what they do is they offer liquidity on both sides. They offer to buy and sell at prices so that there is liquidity to be had at all times. Now, of course, there's a fee to be had, and they collect a fee to do this, right? And that's why you pay trading fees to do that. So when you go to sell, will you be able to maybe sell everything you want at the tippy top? No, because there isn't necessarily enough liquidity up there, which is why we do this in tranches, right? So we don't say, hey, top target's $21. I'm not selling a single XRP until 21, because there's a good chance you won't necessarily get that all filled there, right? So when you move that tranche of XRP on and you say, okay, between 13 and 21, I'm going to be taking profit. Maybe you layer in 3 different orders between 13 and 21. Additionally, adding your order to the order book, right, ahead of time is going to put you in that order book looking for liquidity. Your order is going to be accepted more quickly than a market order, right? Because you're actively part of the people waiting to be filled, either buy or sell at that price. Also, you guys have to remember that retail traders are stupid. Yeah, they're really stupid. They're gonna. I buy at 21. My friend says it's going to 50. I want to 2x my money. I don't have any reason to believe he's lying to me, right? I don't know anything about market cap. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. So now that we have Coinbase to exit with XRP, guys, Coinbase is an incredibly liquid market, right? You should have zero issues dumping your XRP on Coinbase, and dump on them, dump on retail. This is your job. Your job is to make money for you. And unfortunately, some people will be on the losing end of that transaction. That is their fault and their responsibility for not doing their research, buying into the hype and buying the top of the asset. So sell it in tranches, never wait till the top. Understand that you may not get everything executed the exact price you're looking for. You might get a little bit less. But again, guys, we're buying XRP at 50 something cents right now, right? Let's not be greedy. Part 2 of your question is taxes on crypto being 40%. Not the case at all. The highest capital gains tax that you can pay is 36%. And that's going to be based on how much money you made. So it goes in brackets. It's not like, oh, hey, you made 10K in crypto, you got to give me 36% of that. In fact, if you make very little money, right, you're going to be paying a very, very small percentage. It could be as little as like 10% on your taxes. And it's also going to be dependent on how long you held it. So short-term capital gains versus long-term capital gains. You hold it for less than a year, you pay a higher percentage. You hold those assets longer than a year, you pay a much lower percentage. We did actually recently have a crypto tax expert on our show from Daring Advisors. Super, super knowledgeable. So if you guys want to get your taxes sorted properly, have somebody, let's go ahead and use the word he used, optimize the amount of taxes that you pay, reach out to Daring Advisors. Absolute A1, probably the most knowledgeable person I've ever talked to on crypto taxes. But yeah, 40% is not a number you should ever pay.
Andrew Corcoran says, besides Fibonacci, is there a use case that justifies a 100x?
Yeah, so step 1, make sure you're actually keeping up with our daily shows, right? Because if you're coming here and you're just trying to extract, the values, and you're saying, okay, well, the Fibonacci is great, there's a reason why we select the assets we select, right? Because otherwise I could just throw, a fib on any asset and say it's going to do this, right? What do I always say when I show you guys the fibs? I go, this is what's possible, technically, but you need to do your own fundamental research, right? Because if there's no demand coming in, right? There's not going to be that volume. And all those Fibonacci's mean nothing if there isn't that volume. What does Casper offer that's proprietary? I would say that their upgradable smart contracts are probably the biggest value that they offer. You have to remember that also with upgradable smart contracts and more complex smart contracts, there is multiple actions that can happen within those smart contracts, and those smart contract fees are paid in Casper. So if I have a simple transaction, I just want to send Casper from me to Gavin, I'm going to send him 1,000 Casper. I'm just going to pay a very small fee to send him that Casper, right? But let's say I want to create a contract with Gavin, and I'm going to sell Gavin my house. And within that contract, there's going to be a whole bunch of contingencies. Gavin can say, if the inspection's not good, he's not going to buy my house. All these different things in the contract, there are contingencies in there that need to be released in order for us to move further into the contract. And each step in that contract, as we execute different portions of that smart contract, those fees are paid in Casper. So if you have, large business transactions, institution to institution transactions, enterprise to enterprise transactions, those contracts are not just, hey, one small fee. Sometimes it can be very, very big transactions with lots of fees associated with it, right? So that's probably one of the biggest use cases. Like I said, we have about $10 billion worth of intellectual property being minted by IPWe, a company that tokenizes intellectual property on the Casper network. So that's definitely going to be probably one of the biggest initial computational demands that we see on the network. And of course, NFTs, guys, right? I mean, we have native NFTs on the Casper network. Why do you think Ethereum price does so well during the bull run, outside of just, everything else going nuts, right? It's those NFTs that are being minted on that network, right? On the Ethereum network. If you can do that for a much cheaper fee and you can still do all the same stuff, and you can do all the same stuff. There's nothing special about an Ethereum contract, guys, right? It's just a contract that has been coded on a specific network. Now, people look to ETH and they go, oh, high level of security, da 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 da. There's always a time that someone can get hacked. Casper hasn't gone down. Casper has 100% uptime. Hasn't been hacked yet. And you're going to be able to do all the same things you do on the Ethereum network at a much cheaper rate. Even with those complex smart contracts, Ethereum's going to charge you the same stuff, right? If you have a complex smart contract, they're not going to say, a little bit of ETH will go. They're going to charge you for each step of the way. Every time some mechanism or contingency is executed on that smart contract, they're going to charge you Ethereum. They're going to charge you a much higher ETH fee than you would pay on something like the Casper network. So guys, do your research. Don't wait for me to come here and tell you why it's a good idea to buy. You need to make sure that you're digging and keeping up with this stuff. If you don't want to do that, you can just sign up for cryptocharge.com. That's exactly where I give you guys all these breakdowns 5 days a week, reiterating this information to you guys over and over again, and it's imprinted in your brains. The people that have been with our program for the last 2 years are locked in. They understand exactly what they're invested in. They know why they're invested in it, and they see the future of it both technically and fundamentally. And that's what I hope for you guys.
Wow, you just went on a Casper tangent, Matty. I love it. Just bring it back here for like the lowest common denominator here. If someone was looking at a project and they wanted to know, is this project legit? How would they figure that out? Just from like a fundamental basis, like maybe a quick couple things.
Sure. So the first thing I do, obviously, is go check out the website. And I know that when we talk about the word white paper, that can be a little bit of a scary word, right? And there's a lot of technical terms within a white paper. And if you're brand new to crypto and you don't understand consensus or blockchains in general, or staking, or contingencies or smart contracts, a lot of the terms that I've just used here, if you're not familiar with any of that, yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to figure out, is this a good investment opportunity? And you're going to have to spend some time going on YouTube, looking up those terms, understanding how these terms work, and how those work in the white paper, right? So there is some legwork that needs to be done initially for you to figure out if it's genuinely a good project, right? So I read through the white paper, see what it says in there, see if it makes sense, see if it also measures up to any other project out there, and see what makes it different, right? Because there's a million Ethereum applications that promise that they're going to be doing XYZ that's similar to this, but they have no traction, they have no marketing, they're not doing any upgrades, right? I want to look at the roadmap too. A lot of times you'll see a roadmap on the website. It'll show you, hey, we're planning on releasing this on this date, this on this date, this is what we plan to do in the next 2 years. We're trying to accomplish X, Y, and Z. If you can't clearly understand what they're trying to accomplish and how it sets them apart from other competition within the same vertical, it's probably not a good investment, right? If it's a microcap and you don't understand it, probably stay away. I would say if you're brand new to crypto, you need to focus on small at most, but probably small mid caps as the majority of your investing until you can better understand the world of DeFi, better understand how microcaps work, understand liquidity, because there's so many opportunities that look great out there because your favorite influencer's talking about it. And a lot of time your favorite influencer has zero clue about what the technical terms mean, right? They haven't spent the time doing it. They just have a likable and charismatic personality. For example, look at BitBoy Crypto most recently, right? He just unfortunately got canceled from his own company today because, you know, for a variety of other reasons, right? He ended up relapsing and all those things. But, you know, he would go on the show, he would talk a bunch of nonsense, get a bunch of backlash, and then just keep going because a whole new group of people who didn't understand that he previously was incorrectly talking about technical terms have completely already forgotten to come back again, right? And nobody remembers until that next group of people come in. So what I encourage you guys to do is spend time in your own education. I, even with my own team, say, hey, you know, I'm going to do the heavy lifting for you. I'm going to be doing the research, but it's your job to retain this information so that moving forward, you can use it and spot a scam a mile away. Spot an investment opportunity that you know is a bad opportunity. Will you always spot the best opportunities? No. Sometimes you'll jump on something like I did. Moon River, ended up jumping into it, ended up collapsing, took my L's, took my licks, admitted it to my team, right? But we moved on. And the goal is to minimize those losses, right? The goal is to buy more winners, long-term winners that you can scale in and scale out of, right? Because that's one thing for me is like if I'm able to identify, let's say 10 coins, and out of those 10 coins, 2 or 3 of those coins I plan on holding long-term, right? Plan on holding those 5, 10 years. That's a great opportunity for me to continue to build a position long-term, even if I'm trading cycle after cycle. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to make money today for today, because that's windfall money. And that's great to have when it happens to you, but you can also have those windfall wins that turn into windfall losses, right? If you continue with that mentality of, I'm just going to pour everything back into the next microcap because this last one gave me a 20x reward in 3 days. So this next one's going to do the same thing and I'm going to be able to buy a Lambo and move to Puerto Rico, right? The reality is that does not happen to 99% of people out there. So, you know, it's difficult to give you guys the full roadmap of how do I identify a really good project. And it really comes down to you guys spending the hours and the time, getting your elbow grease in and understanding how crypto actually works on a more granular level.
Nice, Matty. If you're on Twitter or I mean X and you're like everyone's posting like, hey, buy this new crypto, you're probably on the wrong side of X. So you probably need to like follow some like legit people. You know, any legit people. Matty's a good legit person. The Crypto Charge, Twitter's a legit person. I know Matty's good friends with Kevin Cage. That's another good guy. Any other good people, Matty, that these people should follow?
Yeah, obviously I love BC Backer. Probably as far as TA goes, he's probably one of the best guys out there. I like King Solomon as a researcher. Wrath Economin's a great researcher. You know, there's a lot of really good quality people out there. And you know what, guys? A lot of those people that are out there, their YouTube stuff, it's not that sexy. Some of it's a little bit on the dry side, but you will learn so much if you spend at least just, let's say, if you're able to dedicate 4 hours a week, I would say, to just teaching yourself and watching a few truly educational research-based videos, it'll start to sink in for you. It'll start to set in for you. It's just like when you go to a college course, right? That first couple of weeks of that math class is really, really overwhelming. Once you start to expose yourself more regularly to it, it becomes less and less overwhelming and you're able to absorb new material more easily because those foundations start to set in for you. So I'd recommend you guys find a few good research channels, settle into those. CryptoCharge.com also does this, you know, and it really makes a difference. I promise it does, because I've had people who are, you know, all of the spectrum, both experience and age-wise, right? All the way from 17 years old up to I have clients that are over 70 years old. And the ones that truly want to learn. The ones that want to make quick money end up being in crypto for less than 6 months and they dip forever. So you guys make a decision on which person you want to be.
Wise words, Matty. I love it. Great show today, Matty. Thank you for joining us, team, and we will catch you guys next week. See ya.